At the beginning, I did this because out of necessity. And to put meat on the table, I'd go out and set a net, and I'd have enough fish for, for 2 or 3 weeks. For me personally, it just brought me closer to my community, and I think it's important to keep connected to the land. Ajawash Kawanakwat Nadijnakas Kuchting Nundunji. I'm from my Indian name is Blue Cloud, and I'm from Kuchting First Nation. This morning we set a 300-foot gill net. The first time I've learned how to do this, I think if I remember correctly, Robert Yerxa, we call him Chug, he lives right at the start of Frog Creek and where we launched our boat. He actually showed me how to do this. And to the left of me, we set the net. The most important process when setting a net actually happens before you get on the lake. It's what we call racking of the net. So you had a pole that was like this, and then you had another pole that was probably 5 feet away, and they're on stilts, and they're probably maybe 4 feet off the ground. And what you would do is you would take your net, you'd have your net in a box all messed up, you'd take your net, find the end, and then you would start putting it on the railings. And so your net would be hanging, and that's what they call racking the net. And you keep on setting it up, and the nets always had to be dried. And the reason why is because if they're wet and you throw them back in your container and you close it up, they'll probably rot on you. But with the new technology, I could have it submerged in water year round, and it will never rot. And then when you completely get it all racked, you let it dry overnight or a day, then you'd come back and you'd set the anchor or the weight in your bucket or your big tub, and then you would grab both ends. You'd usually have 2 people. You'd grab both ends and you kind of ball it up, and then you just kind of lay it out in a circle, and you just keep on feeding it in there. And then so this way, when you're laying the net back out, then it'll lay out cleanly and it won't be bunched up. Okay, under normal circumstances, normally what I would do is about a half hour before dark. So doesn't matter what time of year it is, about a half hour before dark, I will go out and find a spot where I'm going to set the net. Kuchting First Nation is to the left of me, and Matangikoming is to the right of me. In this particular case, we actually went in this spot here is because in the fall, late fall, the whitefish tend to move into these areas to spawn. As you set the net, you'll set the initial anchor, and then the driver of the boat will slowly go back and watch as you feed it from your bucket. And usually I'd have the bucket sitting here next to me, and I would just have my leg up like this and feed it over the top. Once you've put out all 300 feet, you have another big anchor with a float on it. You put it over the side of your boat, and then your driver will give it a little power to go backwards, and you're stretching the net out so it's straight, and then you just let go of the anchor. When the net lays in the water, it kind of lays in there like this. If you got to remember, this is all mesh. On top here are the floats, so about every 3 feet there's a float, and on the bottom you have the sinkers and the sinkers. So when you put it in the water, it's kind of balled up like this, and you put it in the water, it opens up, the floats go to the top, the sinkers go to the bottom. So now all of a sudden you got like a 7 or 8 foot swath of gill net, so the fish will swim along and get caught up. The small ones will swim through, the bigger ones get caught up and get caught up in the gill net, and then you pull them up later. So the duration of the time, so you're looking at maybe it's in the lake for 10 hours. And it's important, like when the water is warmer, you don't want to leave the fish there that long. It's not so bad that when the water's cold, like right now the water's cold, because when the fish get caught up in there, most of them tend to die. So the longer they stay in warm water, the higher the chances that the meat's going to be bad, and you don't want to do that. Normally when I pull a net, you got to come in from the far side on either side of the buoys, because what's going to happen is your prop's going to hit it, and you don't want to do that. So what we'll do is we'll go up, we'll pull the buoy, and that's hooked onto the weight. We'll pull up the weight. We'll have our container here, and we'll slowly feed the net in the container. When my dad was 18, he moved across into the States, and then when I was like 26 or 27, my mother started telling me about the community he was from, and out of 11 kids, that's how many kids in my family, I'm the only one that came back to Couchiching First Nation. And so I was starting late in life, and learning who you are, for me, just made me feel like a better person. And I find it would be a better situation to have our younger people learn this stuff.